Prayer to Saint Anthony of Padua for unusual favors. My dear friend in Christ, something extraordinary has brought you to this sacred moment. Perhaps you've exhausted every human possibility, knocked on every earthly door, tried every reasonable solution. Maybe your heart carries a burden so heavy that sleep eludes you, hope feels distant, and ordinary prayers seem insufficient for the magnitude of what you're facing. You've come seeking more than comfort. You need a miracle. Today, we turn together to Saint Anthony of Padua, the wonder worker whose very name has become synonymous with impossible situations transformed by divine intervention. For 8 centuries, desperate hearts have cried out to this humble Franciscan friar, and for 8 centuries heaven has responded through his powerful intercession with miracles that defy explanation and restore faith in divine love. But why Saint Anthony? What makes this Portuguese saint, who lived only 36 years on earth, such a powerful advocate for those facing impossible circumstances? The answer lies not merely in the countless miracles attributed to his intercession, but in his profound understanding of human desperation and his absolute confidence in God's unlimited mercy. Saint Anthony knew what it meant to feel forgotten by the world. Born Fernando Martins in Lisbon, he initially joined the Augustinian order, living quietly in study and contemplation. His life seemed destined for scholarly obscurity until he encountered the martyred bodies of 5 Franciscan friars who had been killed while preaching to the Muslims in Morocco. That moment ignited something fierce within his soul, a burning desire to spend his life completely for Christ, even unto death. He joined the Franciscans, took the name Anthony, and set sail for Morocco, expecting martyrdom. Instead, illness forced his return to Europe, where a seemingly random stop in Italy would change everything. During a gathering where no one expected the quiet, sickly friar to speak, Anthony was suddenly called upon to preach. What emerged from his lips astonished everyone present: eloquence that seemed to flow directly from heaven, wisdom that penetrated hearts like divine fire, power that moved even the most hardened sinners to tears of repentance. Why does this matter for your situation today? Because Saint Anthony understands what it means to have your expectations completely overturned by God's plans. He thought he was called to die as a martyr in Morocco, but God had different intentions: to live as a miracle worker in Italy. Sometimes our greatest breakthroughs come not when God gives us what we think we need, but when he surprises us with something infinitely better. Are you open to being surprised by God's solution to your impossible situation? Can you trust Saint Anthony's intercession, even if the answer comes in a form you didn't anticipate? This openness to divine creativity is often the key that unlocks the most extraordinary miracles. If you're trusting God for something that seems impossible today, I want you to do something that declares your faith to the world. Hit that like button below, not just as casual engagement, but as a statement that you believe miracles still happen. Share this prayer with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to this channel to join a community that refuses to give up on God's supernatural power. Your simple action might be exactly what brings this prayer to someone else at their moment of greatest desperation. Saint Anthony's ministry was marked by what witnesses described as impossible made routine. Fish emerged from water to listen to his preaching when human hearts grew cold. A man's severed foot was miraculously reattached after Saint Anthony's prayer. A baby spoke from the womb to defend his mother's innocence. These weren't occasional miracles, they were the daily reality of life around this extraordinary saint. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Saint Anthony's miraculous ministry was his compassion for ordinary people, facing ordinary crises made extraordinary by their desperation. He didn't reserve his intercession for kings and bishops. He poured out his spiritual power for merchants facing bankruptcy, mothers watching children die, young people struggling with impossible choices, elderly individuals forgotten by families and society. This is the Saint Anthony who hears your prayer today. He understands that your crisis may not make headlines, but it's shaking your world. He knows that what others might dismiss as a first world problem feels like a matter of life and death to you. His heart is moved by authentic human need, regardless of how that need appears to outside observers. There's a beautiful account from Padua during St. Anthony's lifetime that illustrates this perfectly. A poor washwoman came to him weeping because her only son had been falsely accused of theft by a wealthy merchant. The evidence seemed overwhelming. The punishment would be severe, and she had no money for lawyers or influential friends to help. Everyone told her to accept the inevitable, but desperation drove her to St. Anthony. The saint listened to her story, then simply said, "Take me to your son." When they arrived at the prison, Anthony asked to see the evidence, a valuable ring that had been found in the young man's possession. He held the ring up to the light, studied it carefully, then asked the accuser, "How long have you owned this ring?" "5 years," the merchant replied confidently. Anthony turned the ring over, revealing an inscription on the inside that no one had noticed. This ring bears the date of last month and the mark of a silversmith who has only been working in this city for 3 months. You have committed perjury against this innocent young man. The merchant's lie was exposed, the young man was freed, and the real thief, the merchant himself, was brought to justice. What appeared to be an impossible situation was resolved through St. Anthony's divinely inspired attention to details that human eyes had missed. This same supernatural perception is at work on your behalf right now. St. Anthony sees elements of your situation that you cannot see, understands dynamics you haven't recognized, perceives solutions that haven't occurred to you. His intercession brings divine wisdom into human impossibility, revealing pathways where none seem to exist. But let me ask you something that might surprise you. What if your current crisis is actually positioning you for the greatest blessing of your life? What if this impossible situation is God's way of removing obstacles to something magnificent that He wants to do in and through you? St. Anthony's own life followed this pattern. His illness that prevented martyrdom in Morocco seemed like a devastating setback, but it positioned him for a ministry in Europe that touched millions of lives. Sometimes our greatest disappointments become the foundation for our most extraordinary breakthroughs. The business failure that seems catastrophic might be clearing the path for an opportunity that exceeds anything you could have built on your previous foundation. The relationship that ended in heartbreak might be protecting you from settling for less than the love God intends for your life. The health crisis that terrifies you might become the wake-up call that leads to wellness greater than you've experienced in years. St. Anthony understands this divine paradox because he lived it. His intercession often works by helping us see our current crisis from heaven's perspective, where endings become beginnings and setbacks become setups for supernatural advancement. Are you willing to trust that your impossible situation might be God's invitation to something impossibly wonderful? This trust doesn't minimize your current pain, but it opens your heart to receive solutions that exceed your wildest expectations. During his years of active ministry, St. Anthony developed a reputation for what people called urgent miracles, divine interventions that happened with remarkable speed when situations required immediate resolution. Unlike some saints whose miracles unfolded gradually over time, Anthony's intercession often brought instant transformation that left witnesses stunned by its immediacy. This urgency in St. Anthony's miraculous ministry reflects his deep understanding of human desperation. When people come to him with impossible deadlines, critical health crises, or situations that cannot wait for gradual improvement, his intercession accesses heaven's ability to work outside normal time frames. Your situation may feel urgent to you right this moment. Perhaps you're facing a deadline that looms like a mountain, a crisis that demands immediate resolution, a problem that cannot be solved gradually. St. Anthony specializes in these pressure cooker moments when only supernatural intervention can provide relief in time. But here's what you must understand about divine urgency. It operates according to perfect timing rather than human panic. When St. Anthony intercedes for urgent situations, the response comes at precisely the right moment to maximize blessing while minimizing chaos. Sometimes this means instant miracles that take everyone's breath away. Other times it means last-minute interventions that arrive exactly when hope seemed completely lost. The key is trusting St. Anthony's wisdom about timing, while maintaining expectation for breakthrough. Your miracle may come in the next hour, the next day, or at the final moment when human solutions have been completely exhausted. Either way, his intercession ensures that divine help arrives exactly when it will have maximum impact. There's another dimension to Saint Anthony's ministry that sets him apart from many other saints. His miraculous power extended beyond individual crises to transform entire communities. When he preached in Italian cities, crime rates dropped dramatically, enemies reconciled with shocking suddenness, and corrupt officials experienced unexpected conversions that changed local government. This community-wide impact of Saint Anthony's ministry suggests that his intercession for your situation may have ripple effects extending far beyond your immediate circumstances. Your breakthrough might become the catalyst for positive changes in your family, your workplace, your neighborhood, or your social circle. The financial miracle you receive might inspire others to be more generous. The healing you experience might encourage family members to take better care of their health. The reconciliation in your marriage might become an example that saves other relationships. The job opportunity that comes your way might create positions for others who also need employment. Saint Anthony's intercession rarely works in isolation. His miracles tend to multiply, creating cascades of blessing that touch numerous lives. Your impossible situation may be about to become the center of a divine intervention that transforms not just your circumstances, but the entire atmosphere around your life. Are you ready for your miracle to become a blessing for others beyond yourself? This readiness doesn't earn your breakthrough, but it positions you to receive the fullest measure of what Saint Anthony's intercession wants to accomplish through your situation. But let's address something that may be weighing heavily on your heart right now. Perhaps you've prayed to Saint Anthony before without receiving the miracle you desperately needed. Maybe you've watched others testify to his powerful intercession while your own petitions seem to go unanswered. You're wondering whether this time will be different, whether your faith is strong enough, whether your situation is too far gone even for Saint Anthony's intervention. First, let me assure you that Saint Anthony never ignores sincere petitions. Every prayer offered to him with authentic need reaches his compassionate heart and moves him to intercede before God's throne. The absence of visible results doesn't mean the absence of spiritual activity on your behalf. Sometimes what we interpret as unanswered prayer is actually prayer being answered in ways we don't recognize or accept. Saint Anthony's intercession may have been protecting you from solutions that would have created bigger problems, or preparing circumstances that needed to be aligned before your breakthrough could safely manifest. Moreover, your previous disappointments may have been preparing you for this moment. Every unanswered petition has deepened your desperation, stripped away self-reliance, and opened your heart to depend completely on divine mercy. You're more ready for a miracle today than you've ever been, precisely because you have nowhere else to turn. There's a powerful account from medieval Italy about a woman whose daughter had been missing for over a year. She had prayed to numerous saints, made countless petitions, offered every sacrifice she could imagine, all without result. Finally, in complete desperation, she came to Saint Anthony and cried out, "Everyone says you work miracles, but I've seen none. If you truly have power with God, prove it by bringing back my child." Rather than being offended by her challenge, Saint Anthony was moved by her authentic anguish. He prayed with such intensity that witnesses said the very air seemed to shimmer with supernatural energy. 3 days later, the missing daughter appeared at the family home, confused but unharmed, with no memory of where she had been or how she had returned. The woman's previous unanswered prayers hadn't been ignored. They had been building toward this moment when her desperation reached the level that could receive and handle such a dramatic miracle. Sometimes God waits until we're desperate enough to give him complete glory for what he's about to do. Your current desperation may be the exact spiritual condition Saint Anthony needs to work the most extraordinary miracle of your life. Don't let past disappointments convince you that this time will be the same. You're not the same person who prayed those previous prayers, and your situation has evolved in ways that may now require exactly the kind of supernatural intervention that Saint Anthony specializes in providing. Something is stirring in your spirit right now, isn't it? A sense that this prayer feels different, that this moment carries more weight than previous attempts to find divine help. That stirring isn't imagination, it's recognition. Your soul is recognizing that breakthrough is closer than it's ever been. If you can feel that stirring, that sense of expectation building in your heart, don't ignore it. Hit that like button and let this prayer reach others who need to feel the same hope rising in their spirits. Share this with someone who has given up on miracles. Your faith might be exactly what rekindles theirs. This isn't just engagement with a video, it's participation in a spiritual movement that declares God's power is still available to those who seek Him through St. Anthony's intercession. St. Anthony's understanding of human nature was remarkably sophisticated. He recognized that people facing impossible situations often carry burdens beyond the specific crisis that brought them to seek help. Financial problems frequently stem from deeper issues of self-worth or purpose. Relationship conflicts usually involve patterns of communication and trust that go back years. Health crises often connect to lifestyle choices, stress management, or emotional wounds that manifest physically. This is why St. Anthony's miracles so often exceed the specific requests made to him. He sees the whole person, not just the presenting problem. His intercession brings healing to root causes, not merely relief from surface symptoms. The unusual favors he obtains from God tend to be comprehensive, addressing interconnected needs that the petitioner may not have even recognized. The businessmen who seek St. Anthony's help with bankruptcy may receive not just financial provision, but business wisdom that prevents future crises. The parent praying for a rebellious teenager may witness not just behavioral change, but healing of family dynamics that contributed to the rebellion. The individual asking for physical healing may experience not just restored health, but emotional and spiritual renewal that transforms their entire approach to life. Your unusual favor may follow this same pattern. While you're focused on one specific need, St. Anthony may be interceding for multiple breakthroughs that will transform your life more comprehensively than you dared to hope. Be open to receiving more than you asked for, healing that goes deeper than you expected, solutions that address problems you didn't know you had. This comprehensive approach to miraculous intervention reflects St. Anthony's profound charity. He doesn't just want to solve your immediate crisis. He wants to see you flourish in every aspect of life. His intercession flows from the same love that motivated his earthly ministry, a burning desire to see human beings experience the fullness of joy that God intends for His children. But receiving comprehensive blessing requires comprehensive surrender. You must be willing to let God work in areas of your life that you haven't specifically submitted to Him. St. Anthony's intercession may bring healing to relationships you thought were permanently damaged, clarity to decisions you've been avoiding, or opportunities in directions you hadn't considered. This surrender isn't passive resignation. It's active cooperation with divine love that sees possibilities you cannot see and has power to accomplish what you cannot accomplish. When you place your impossible situation in St. Anthony's hands, you're also placing yourself in those hands. Not just your problem, but your potential. Not just your crisis, but your calling. Are you willing to be transformed by your miracle, not just rescued by it? This willingness opens you to receive the kind of unusual favors that don't just change circumstances but change destinies, that don't just solve problems but create purposes. The lives of those who experienced St. Anthony's miracles were often dramatically altered not just by what they received, but by how receiving it changed their understanding of God's character and their own possibilities. They discovered that the God who could work miracles through St. Anthony's intercession was also willing to work through them to bless others facing similar impossibilities. Your breakthrough, when it comes, will position you to be part of St. Anthony's ongoing ministry to desperate hearts. The wisdom you gain through your crisis will qualify you to counsel others. The faith you develop while waiting for your miracle will enable you to encourage those who are beginning their own journey of believing for the impossible. This is one reason why St. Anthony's unusual favors often come with unusual callings. The person who experiences his intercession doesn't just return to normal life. They discover new purposes that flow from their testimony, new opportunities to participate in God's miraculous work in other lives. But let's focus on the specific miracle you need right now. Saint Anthony is listening to every detail of your situation, understanding nuances that you may not be able to articulate, feeling the full weight of your desperation and the full measure of your hope. He knows the names of the people involved in your crisis. He understands the timeline you're working with. He sees the resources you need, the doors that must open, the hearts that need to change, the circumstances that require divine intervention. Nothing about your situation surprises him, and nothing about it overwhelms his ability to intercede effectively. Right now, in this very moment, Saint Anthony is presenting your petition before the throne of God with the authority that comes from 8 centuries of proven intercession. He's not just asking God to help you. He's demonstrating through his own testimony the character of the one who delights in working miracles for those who cry out to him in desperation. Your prayer is joining a symphony of intercession that includes not just Saint Anthony, but Mary, the Mother of God, all the saints and the angels of heaven. You're not praying alone. You're adding your voice to a chorus that has been singing your breakthrough into existence before you even knew to ask for it. Can you sense this spiritual support surrounding your prayer? This isn't wishful thinking. It's the reality of the communion of saints, the interconnectedness of all who belong to God's family across earth and heaven. Your impossible situation has caught the attention of heaven's most powerful intercessors. The angels are moving on your behalf. Divine appointments are being arranged. Resources are being positioned. Hearts are being prepared. Doors are being unlocked. Opposition is being confused. Your breakthrough is developing in the invisible realm with precision and power that will soon become undeniably visible. This invisible activity often creates a sense of anticipation in those who have sincerely sought Saint Anthony's intercession. You may find yourself checking your phone more frequently, watching your email with unusual expectation, paying closer attention to conversations and opportunities. This heightened awareness isn't anxiety, it's spiritual sensitivity recognizing that change is imminent. Trust these inner promptings. They may be Saint Anthony's way of preparing you to recognize and respond to your miracle when it begins to manifest. The unusual favor you're seeking may come through channels you haven't considered, requiring you to be spiritually alert to divine movement in unexpected places. But what if your miracle requires you to act with courage you don't feel you possess? What if Saint Anthony's intercession opens doors that require you to walk through them despite fear, uncertainty, or past failures? Many of his most remarkable miracles required recipients to respond with faith actions that seemed almost as impossible as their original circumstances. The merchant facing bankruptcy, who receives an unexpected business opportunity, must still have courage to pursue it. The patient who discovers a new treatment option must still make the decision to try it. The parent whose estranged child reaches out must still choose forgiveness and reconciliation over bitterness and self-protection. Saint Anthony's intercession often brings solutions that require partnership between divine power and human faith. God provides the opportunity, but you must seize it. Heaven opens the door, but you must walk through it. Divine love creates the possibility, but you must embrace it. This partnership isn't burden, it's honor. God could work miracles without human participation, but he chooses to invite us into the process because he knows that miracles we participate in creating become more deeply embedded in our hearts and more powerfully transformative in our characters. Your unusual favor may come wrapped in an opportunity that requires unprecedented faith, courage, or action on your part. Be ready to say yes to God's solution, even if it looks different from what you expected, even if it requires you to stretch beyond your current comfort zone. The same Saint Anthony who intercedes for your miracle also intercedes for the strength, wisdom, and courage you'll need to receive and steward it well. His comprehensive intercession ensures that you won't be given more than you can handle, but you may be given exactly enough to help you grow into the person God created you to become. Saint Anthony's feast day, June 13th, has become known throughout the Catholic world as a day of extraordinary miraculous activity. But here's what many people don't realize. Saint Anthony's intercession isn't limited to special days or seasons. Every day is a potential day of miracle for those who approach him with sincere hearts and desperate needs. The power that flows through his intercession doesn't depend on liturgical calendars or religious observances. It flows from his eternal relationship with the God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The Saint Anthony who worked miracles in 13th century Italy is the same Saint Anthony who intercedes for miracles in your 21st century life. This timeless availability of Saint Anthony's intercession means that your breakthrough doesn't have to wait for special seasons or perfect timing. It can come today, tomorrow, or whenever divine love determines that all elements are perfectly aligned for maximum blessing and testimony. But it also means that Saint Anthony's intercession operates with eternal perspective rather than temporal urgency. He sees your situation from heaven's viewpoint, where time works differently and where perfect timing takes precedence over human impatience. Sometimes unusual favors come instantly, shocking everyone with their immediacy and obvious supernatural source. Other times they develop gradually, building momentum through a series of smaller breakthroughs that accumulate in ultimate victory. Both patterns reflect St. Anthony's wisdom about what will work best in your specific circumstances. The key is maintaining expectation regardless of timing. Whether your miracle comes today or requires more preparation time, St. Anthony's intercession ensures that it will arrive at exactly the right moment to accomplish God's perfect will for your situation. This divine timing often involves factors you cannot see or understand. The person who holds the key to your breakthrough may need time to be positioned correctly. The circumstances that will support your miracle may require additional development. Your own heart may need further preparation to handle the magnitude of what God wants to give you. Trust St. Anthony's oversight of the timing. He has never been late with a miracle, even when his timing seemed delayed from human perspective. His unusual favors always arrive at precisely the right moment to create maximum blessing with minimum complications. While you wait for perfect timing, use this preparation period to deepen your relationship with the saint who is interceding for you. Learn more about Anthony's life, his teachings, his approach to prayer and service. The better you understand his heart, the more completely you can cooperate with the work he's doing on your behalf. Many people discover that their initial crisis-driven prayer to St. Anthony becomes the beginning of lifelong spiritual friendship that enriches their faith in ways they never anticipated. The saint who helped them through their darkest hour becomes a trusted guide for all of life's subsequent challenges and opportunities. Your relationship with St. Anthony is just beginning. The miracle you're about to receive will introduce you to his reliability, but ongoing friendship will reveal his wisdom, his humor, his profound understanding of human nature, and his endless compassion for those who struggle. This friendship doesn't replace your relationship with Jesus Christ. It enhances it. St. Anthony's entire purpose is to draw people closer to the Savior he loved and served with such passionate devotion. His intercession for you flows from his desire to see you experience the same transforming encounter with divine love that shaped his own life. As we move toward the heart of our formal prayer to St. Anthony, I want you to take a moment to acknowledge the shift that has already occurred in your spirit during this time together. The desperation you carried when you began listening feels different now, doesn't it? Not because your circumstances have changed, but because your spiritual perspective has been elevated. This shift isn't psychological manipulation, it's spiritual reality. When sincere hearts engage with St. Anthony's intercession, heaven responds by releasing faith, hope, and peace that transcend natural understanding. You're experiencing the first fruits of the miracle that's about to transform your impossible situation. The peace settling over your heart right now is St. Anthony's gift to you, evidence that your petition has been heard and accepted in heaven's throne room. This peace will sustain you through whatever remaining challenges you face before your breakthrough becomes visible. But this peace also carries responsibility. It's meant to flow through you to others who are facing their own impossible situations. The comfort you're receiving through St. Anthony's intercession positions you to offer similar comfort to family members, friends, colleagues, or even strangers who need to know that miracles are still possible. Your current crisis, difficult as it has been, is preparing you to be part of St. Anthony's ongoing ministry to desperate hearts. The faith you're developing will qualify you to encourage others to believe. The testimony you'll have will provide hope for people who have given up on divine intervention. This larger purpose doesn't minimize the importance of your personal breakthrough, it magnifies it. Your miracle matters not only because it solves your problem, but because it becomes part of God's strategy for demonstrating His love to a world that has forgotten His power. Are you ready for your unusual favor to become a blessing that extends far beyond your immediate situation? This readiness opens you to receive the full measure of what St. Anthony's intercession wants to accomplish through your crisis. The time has come to present your petition formally to St. Anthony, not as begging or pleading, but as confident approach to one who has never failed to carry sincere requests before God's throne. We come not because we deserve miraculous intervention, but because divine love delights in demonstrating power through impossible circumstances. Glorious St. Anthony of Padua, worker of wonders and friend of the desperate, we approach your throne of intercession, carrying burdens that have grown too heavy for human strength to bear. You who preach to creatures when